Welcome back to Chalk Talk. Today, I'm joined again with Josh Ring, and we are having an Aston Villa and Unai Emery analysis. Josh is a die-hard Aston Villa fan, as some of you may know, and we're going to go into a little bit of detail as to how the transition has been so far as him taking over as manager. So, Josh, let's fire away. Let's get straight into it. How have you found it so far, Unai Emery being appointed as your new manager of your beloved Aston Villa?
Breath of fresh air. Tactically superior to anything we've had in a long time. And quite frankly, he's installed a newfound belief again in the fan base, the players, the owners, everyone associated with Aston Villa, that we really do have an elite manager on our hands. And I think this guy has been serially underrated most of his career. I think bigger teams have turned their nose up at him, wrongly so. And I think his record in European Cup competitions speak for itself really highly. And if you really put the microscope on his Arsenal season, he did an incredible job on a shoestring budget. And quite frankly, probably should have got more time at Arsenal, but they were ruthless.
Absolutely. So do you think some of the reason why he's not maybe as revered as perhaps he should be is because he's perhaps a little bit more of a pragmatic manager? He's managed, obviously, Sevilla, Villarreal in Spain. And when he's managed those teams, he's been maybe potentially a little bit more defensively minded, as he probably should be, because he's not managing one of the absolute best teams in sort of Sevilla or Villarreal, for example. Do you think that doesn't help his cause?
Yeah, I think if you look at it, right, he took Sevilla obviously on that incredible European journey as a manager, winning the treble of European Cups, Europa League, year after year after year, 2013, 2014, and 2015.
I mean, that's incredible.
I mean, that's unheard of, to be honest. It's absolutely unheard of. And there was a certain style of play that he used as a Spanish coach in a Spanish league, and he then got the big call up at PSG. Now, at that time, PSG, with all their mega bucks and mega money, was seen as this elusive, try and win the Champions League. That's basically what every manager now he goes to PSG. You have to go and win the Champions League. They got knocked out by Real Madrid in the last 16, and therefore his season was seen as a failure, basically. And I think that PSG job hurt him in terms of then people looking at his reputation. He didn't play, as he said, sort of flow and attacking style of football with PSG. And then he obviously took the Arsenal job on, which was a real, what I would say, poison chalice. Because it is taking over like David Moyes found after Sir Alex Ferguson and those managers to proceed in the Jose Mourinho. You're taking over a legend of the game. So you're right, his style of play is not what you would want to see at a massive club who is challenging for the title. But as you said, it's pragmatic and it has its impact and it's works. And, if you want to win trophies, I think this guy, his credentials say it all. So it is a weird one. It is a weird one that he's been overlooked. I agree.
So we're just going to get the tactics board up again and just have a look at what his shape looks like in terms of what he tends to go for. And obviously, you just got to see it on here, hopefully. In terms of he's set up with this sort of fairly rigid 4-4-2, hard to beat, not potentially pressing extremely high, and you can obviously see it on the board there. And in the recent win against Tottenham, was it, I believe, when he did a little bit of a masterclass on them, didn't he? Actually, it changed into this, didn't it? It was a 6-2-2 almost, which was very unheard of. I mean, we're not potentially seeing many managers line up like that, but it absolutely did a number on Tottenham, didn't it? And they couldn't cope with this setup. Why was this setup for Villa on that day so difficult for Tottenham to deal with?
Well, essentially, when you're not a top 4, top 6 team, the way to beat these boys away from home, especially, is to stay in the game. So you need to stay in the game. You need to not expose yourself to an early goal. And what he's done is essentially recognise the weakness of Spurs which is that Tottenham thrive with spacing behind. They thrive with having one-on-ones in wide areas with your Heung-min Sons, your Kuleveskis. And of course, Harry Kane likes to drop into that central pocket. Well, he's completely nullified all three of those things. He's nullified spacing behind. He's nullified one-on-ones because it was always 2v1s or 3v2s. And the middle of the pitch was so congested that Harry Kane couldn't find the space. So just sort of taking out their sort of three best prolific players killed Tottenham. And basically, what was asked of them is their left centre back and their right centre back, because Tottenham play three at the back, to basically be the ball players, to step into that space in those wide areas and try and make things happen. And it just didn't work. And as I said, Villa in the first half played that formation and created one chance through Watkins, but they weren't trying to create chances. Their idea was to stay in the game, and very hard to break down six bodies as such, but also to still be a threat on the counter attack with the pace of Watkins and Bailey up front and behind.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just going to come on to that. I'm a big believer in no matter how defensively minded you play, you're always going to create a good handful of chances on the break, because obviously if you play that deep, there's inevitably going to be so much space in behind if you've got quick players up front. Then the next visual will just sort of back that up. So sort of when they do win the ball back and they've got that block of 6 and 2 or the 2 blocks of 4, they've then obviously got Watkins and Bailey with their pace in behind up the sides to really try and exploit teams. And it seems like it can be a really powerful tactic for them moving forward.
Yeah, and the tweak of it as well is that if you look in the left and right mid positions, you've got Emi Buendia and John McGinn, who are basically centre mids, or you could say Buendia is more of a left winger as such. And they're being asked to play a completely different position. But the change, I guess, is in that when you play this shape, is that actually McGinn and Buendia can get closer to Bailey and Watkins. When they played in the back 6, it was solely on Watkins and Bailey, whereas Buendia and McGinn in the second half were able to get closer to the front two. And so my thoughts and questions are really with Unai Emery is moving forward is, does he want centre mids playing right and left side of it? Is he setting up with 4 centre mids and that pragmatic defence style? Or does he have room or scope for basically wingers? Or forward thinking.
That's very Simeone mindset, isn't it? Having sort of those left and right mids as not really touchline hugging wingers, isn't it?
Yeah, and I do wonder, as well, because the fullbacks get round, especially on the left hand side. Luca Dean has under Unai Emery especially got into very advanced positions because Buendia's tucking inside. So I do wonder if that is an area that he's going to recruit. Does he want to go further forward with Watkins and Bailey and actually get a different type of player to lead the line? Of course, Watkins and Bailey are both runners, but the argument with Watkins and Bailey is that they're not clinical. They're not going to score you those goals. Between them both, I would say, since Unai Emery's arrived in his 7 games, I would say between them both, they've probably missed 8 big chances, clear-cut chances between them, which has cost Villa in some aspects. So, yeah, you've got to ask what is he going to do next with his recruitment, and where will he strengthen, and what type of player will he go for to fit into the system?
Okay, great. Good stuff. Right, we're getting to that point where we'll be wrapping up soon. 3 quick questions to you. So I want you to try and answer these as precisely and detailed and as promptly as you can. So first things first, Harry Maguire, would he fit into your team? Been some rumours.
He would fit into Aston Villa, yes. He could also enable Unai Emery to look at a 3 at the back, potentially, is maybe the thinking behind it. But yes, I could see him fitting in at Aston Villa, yeah.
Okay, great. Steven Gerrard, sad to see him go, or thoughts?
Sad it didn't work out for him, but bittersweet taste because it just ended sour. And to be honest, he started to suck the love out of watching Aston Villa because the style of play was so naive and boring.
Okay, honest of you. And lastly, what will success look under Unai Emery over the next, let's say, 2 years?
This season would have been to go on a big cup run, but we've balls that up at the weekend. So success this season, top 10 finish. Success in 2 years is to break into that top 8, or try and get a European slot and a cup run. We've got to. He's a silverware man, so I want to see silverware.
Yeah, absolutely. Brilliant. Great analysis as always, mate. And thanks for coming on. We'll be back again very soon with more analysis on a particular feature of football. Thank you for listening to Chalk Talk. And we will be back soon. Please like and subscribe if you've enjoyed this video, and drop a comment. Let us know what you think.